What is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today, we're going to bring you guys a video that's just going to be gathering a bunch of resources and a bunch of information together so you guys can find it a lot more easily. It can become a lot more accessible and just ways to help you improve your game in the year 2023. Smite has now been out for about 10 years, and through the years, there's been a whole bunch of websites built, guides built, Excel sheets built. Shout out to Millsy like a couple years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. Bunch of different things made. I'm going to try to gather as many of them as I can that I think are useful in 2023, and then just ways I think you can improve your game in the year 2023. Starting off, it kind of depends on the level player you are. If you are brand new to the game, never touched Smite, never touched a MOBA, you don't know what the heck is happening, you have booted up Smite because you like to play games and you found Smite, it's free, you found nothing else. Two ways to go about it. One is you play Arena, you play Assault, and you just slam as many gods as you can, learn the gods, the ins and outs of the gods, learn the items, stuff like that. That is step one. Step two is you find a role and you find a god you like and you spam Conquest till you learn Conquest. The problem with Smite and the problem with learning Smite is there's a million different ways and a million different things that you need to know. To put it into baby steps, there is about 5 things you need to know. One, the gods. Starts off pretty easy. You just need to know what your god does, but it can branch out to what does the enemy gods do? How do the enemy gods combo together? What do they do? What do they want to do? What do they want to do against my team? Stuff like that. That's step number 1. Step number 2, items. Once you get to a point where items are important, you're turning off auto build, you've learned the god, now you want to learn how to build. Items are the next important step. They also change very often, just like the gods do. So even when if you know items from 3 years ago, learning items now might be completely different, especially with starter items, stuff like that. Step 3, conquest map. The game, like every other MOBA, the game changes. The items change. The gods changed. The map is going to change. Season X, the game has changed a lot from Season 9. The map has changed a good chunk, and it's going to be changing even more this year because they're planning, I think it's 3 or 4 big updates this year. I think it's 3 big updates. They're going to change the map and how it's played. Number 4, probably one of the more unimportant ones, but it is something that if you are trying to get rid of your dearth of knowledge and expand on it, learning drafting, learning where to pry your gods, where to not pry your gods. Are they counterpickable at the top end? Are they counterpickable? Do they need to be something you counterpick the enemy with? Is it something that needs to be banned because it's so OP? That is something that if you're getting into the comp side of things, it's important. If you're not in the comp side of things, it's not important, but that's kind of like the next step. And then number 5, if you are in that comp level, the next thing is managing a team environment, managing your relationship with your teammates, how you interact with them, how you communicate with them, comms, stuff like that, everything like that. That point can be a lot simpler where it's like just VGSing in game, and it can expand all the way up to competitive where it's you and your teammates are communicating, trying to call fire giants, kind of trying to go for objectives, trying to push your lead, stuff like that. But those are the 5 steps to kind of level up your gameplay as much as possible. With all the knowledge we have out there, I've got a couple websites that I really want to point you guys to. One is more of a build website, and one is a true guide that was actually been made over the last couple weeks by Genetics. The other one is a website by Weekend. Both are Twitch streamers, both are YouTubers, so they're very good. Both played at the top end, and they have very, very good resources out there for you guys to learn from. I'll link them down below, obviously. Looking at Genetics' website, he's got this entire website built now. He's got a map on how to ward, normal wards, objective centuries. He's got a god tier list, what he thinks of supports. He's got an item tier list, what he thinks of items and when he would build them in support. General building for literally every god that he considers a support. God playstyles, which explains how the gods, like when they're strong, are they peel or dive, roamer, follower, and then literally breakdowns of every single one of them. Counter building, items that you want to think of when you're struggling against healers, struggling against crit, struggling against pressure. Relic breakdown, where he goes through every single relic and explains why he wouldn't build it or why he would build it. Glyph breakdown, where he talks about, oh, he hasn't finished this one yet, but glyph breakdown, where he talks about just all the glyphs, when he thinks they're good. And then lastly, he has like an entire thing just dedicated to Smite terms where you want to understand this. Economy W, a phrase said when you're glad your team has lost the game. That's funny. But yeah, Genetics website has a lot of information for support. It's limited to support, which is its downside, but there's a ton of good information in this. And you guys, if you are trying to improve in support, this is a very good place to go. Next up, if you are getting to a point where you're trying to learn how to build, this is Weekend's website, where it's smitesource.com. You can search for players. So Inbowned, I think I'm appearing offline. So you can go to this one. You can look at your win-loss. You can look at your win rate, all your game modes, most played roles, recent matches, all this good stuff. And then there's breakdowns of all the gods, builds for them, abilities, videos dedicated to them that they haven't caught up on yet, lore. This is basically the Smite website, but it's updated with builds that are good for them. So recent Kali builds, Zeus builds, all this good stuff, games that Weekend was playing. A very good resource. You guys need to learn how to do builds. Don't understand builds, or you just want to have a build dedicated to that god because you haven't gotten to that point yet. These are very, very good builds for that. On top of those websites, there's also YouTubers, streamers on Twitch that you can use for this information also. video, a couple I pulled up here. Fine OK, probably one of the best solo laners we've had over the past 5 years. Also an incredible YouTuber, very funny, very informational. Incon, not nearly as high level as like a Fine OK, a Zappa Pro League player, but he's better than 99.99999% of you. And there's a ton you can learn from him. He plays, I think, every role. I don't know if he's changed up roles. He kind of plays mid a lot, jungle a lot, solo a lot, support a lot. Maybe everything but ADC is his preference. Incon also very good. Zapman, a very, very good ADC. You can learn how to build ADCs. In his Twitch stream, he also has an exclamation point build command where you can actually see the builds that he has for hunters and then the magical gods. And then obviously, lastly, Twitch. A bunch of Smite pro players stream on Twitch. Venenu, Lasbra, In My Zen, Solo, 3 pros and a very good player. Coast is a pro player, very good. Dash is a good support player. And this is just at 12 o'clock where not a lot of them are actually streaming, but there's a ton of pro players that are going to be streaming at all points of the day, morning, day, night, literally midnight, 4 a.m. Somebody's probably slamming the queues, and there is stuff you can be learning from them. So that is just all the resources that I have found, that I gathered for you guys, all in one place. Take a look at all of it. There's a lot of information to be gained from these places. Don't be ignorant. Go learn from these places. Obviously, use this resource right here, my YouTube. I have a ton of good information for support. That's probably the most limiting thing with my channel, is that mostly all of it is support. But if you do have questions, I'm live nearly every single day in the morning, and you can always ask questions there. I know every single role at the top level, and I am very glad to help. So if you have questions, stop by the stream, twitch.tv/inbound. Drop questions there. I'll be happy to answer them. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.